Thank you, Minister. Well, can I say, Minister, your luck is in. You have 3 TDs from the same constituency, Sligo, Leitrim, North Roscommon and South Donegal, all raising the same issue, Mark McSharry, Frank Fian and myself, and that is the promise of the new Garda station in Sligo. Now, I won't labour it, and I did hear your responses, and I was very pleased to hear you refer to it as a very, very important policing and Garda station requirement. But can I just add, Minister, there's extreme disappointment in Sligo among the public and especially among the Gardaí at the waste of money, a site left idle, at the effective downgrading of Sligo as a policing location, and crucially, for those who go to work there, a building that's not fit for purpose. And they're talking about upgrading it. Now, I don't know if you know Sligo Garda Station, but I do. And you would freeze there in the winter. And I just want to lay down a marker that before there's any talk of upgrading that building, which is, I believe, what's proposed now, there needs to be a full assessment of a full retrofit, because that's in the programme for government. You're committing to 10 times the amount of retrofitting. And while I'm not an engineer, I can put a small bet that the cost of a full retrofit on Sligo Garda Station will probably be greater than the cost of any new build. So I just want to say that it's the best solution, it's the value for money solution, and I want you to consider that. But the other issue I want to raise, indeed also has been raised by Deputy Feehan, and that's the issue of flooding on the Shannon. Earlier this year, I and my TD colleagues were in Carrick-on-Shannon several times watching water rise, businesses being flooded, land being flooded. I was actually on the Sligo-Dublin train several times, and I tell you, I was looking gingerly out the window as the water lapped at the very edge of the train tracks. And they were pumping in Carrick-on-Shannon. But the problem is, Minister, because of the topography and the levels, there was nowhere for the water to go. Water and walls just won't work. In Carrick-on-Shannon, the water will seep under any walls. Now, I know there are no simple solutions, but flood risks can be alleviated or at least mitigated by dealing with some of the pinch points on the Shannon. There's a weir and a lock in Jamestown built back in 1883, which even at that time was not built according to plan, and that to this day causes a problem when the river is in flood. Trees have fallen in, there's silting. You don't know the area, but not far away at Knockvicar, there's a weir that's 3 times as long, so that gives you some idea of the issues they face. And I suppose the bottom line is that the Shannon is a piece of infrastructure that nothing has been done with since the foundation of the state. As somebody remarked to me, not a teaspoon of water has been taken out, and millions of tonnes of silt and peat have been deposited. They can speed up the flow at Jamestown. Now, immediately when people hear that, they throw their hands up in horror and say, but what about further down the river? The flow at Jamestown is around 140 cubic metres per second. In Athlone, it's 500 cubic metres, and at Partine, it's 800. So there is flexibility there, Minister, to do that. We also need to look at the water levels in Lough Allen. There are solutions, and people in Carrick-on-Shannon were expecting at the beginning of this year that some of those solutions would be put in place. It has not happened, and I'm asking you, what can be done? Flooding can never be got rid of, but we can mitigate the risks. And if those risks are not mitigated using some of the measures that I have mentioned, and perhaps others, but forgetting about the building of walls in Carrick-on-Shannon, if they can, Minister, I would ask that you would consider them. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. And Tara, for a quick reply.
Thanks very much, Deputy. And I've responded back, and you've heard my response there in relation to Sligo Garda Station. I know where it is in the building. I haven't been in it, but clearly the kind of debate that we're having about it here this afternoon wouldn't be happening unless the building itself needed an awful lot of change. So I've heard what you all have to say in relation to that. In relation to the project that you referred to in Jamestown, I'm correct in saying that, Deputy? I am not in a position to be able to respond back to the very specific set of questions that the Deputy put to me in relation to that site, Cahirlock, but I'll write back to the Deputy and give her an answer to the points that she has raised.